Hi and welcome. Today I wanted to talk about a music album, specific The Great War from the band Sabaton. Now, before I begin, there is something I should mention. This will just be a small video or short video about my opinion about this specific album or specific version of this album. This won't be an in-depth review. I won't go into much details about the songs themselves, the band itself. This is just coming from someone who just found out this band exists, got this album, and just wanted to say a few things about it. So, if you're searching for something more, a real review or something like that, then do me a favor, stop this video right there, because I think everything I will say, some things might sound stupid from coming from a more casual listener, and if you're a fan of the band, I am not that deep into it, don't know that much of history of the band itself, so just keep that in mind if you still want to watch it or hear my just my 2 cents about that. Yeah. I had to say this because I know a lot of people will start talking about and saying, why aren't you reviewing this right? I had this a lot of times, so just a small disclaimer. And let's begin about this one. Again, I wanted to talk about The Great War from Sabaton, or more, like I said, more specific about the history edition about this. Now, one thing I should mention before I begin, except or additional to the disclaimer, I haven't heard about this band, or let's put it this way: I only know this band exists since a few months ago. After the YouTube algorithm put up one of the latest pieces, Bismarck, on my watch list or a recommendation list, and it was strange at that time because I never watched a music video or even listened to music at the time on YouTube for different reasons. I was watching some documentations, but more about food and some other things. Watched some gaming videos, so it was kind of strange to have this one specific on my recommendation list. In the end, it was, I know why it was. It was one of my guilty pleasures. I have just recently watched the trailers of a small mobile game. And they thought they shared this video with me. And to be honest, I am so thankful for the algorithm that they showed me Sabaton, because I think I still wouldn't know about this band. And it's really interesting because they have everything I really love about music. And this is the first time I can remember that I found a band where I listened or started listening to a song, continued with another one, and even after 20, 30 songs, I still haven't found one bad song or one song I didn't like. Even my most beloved bands I have I'm listening to, they still have one or two songs I normally skip because I don't like them. But I hadn't found out about this one. And again, I have listened to so many Sabaton songs now. There is not one I didn't like. Yeah, there are some that aren't on par with others, but I will still listen to them. I have my favorites, yes, but there is not one I really say I don't want to listen to that again. So yeah, Sabaton became really quickly one of my favorite bands out there in just a short time. And knowing that this band exists since 1999, it's very strange that I really never heard of them. But that's also not true. I think my brother mentioned them at one point, but I think you know how it is with siblings. They don't listen to each other in so many ways. Disclaimer: I love my brother. But yeah, it was really strange to have found out about them this way. And yeah, after hearing that there will be a new album, I thought, yeah, I pre-ordered that one, and it was just recently released last month. And everything I just said about listening is also true to this album. Now, why did I want to talk specific about the history edition from this album? There are two reasons. Now, the first thing you should know, there are actually 3 different versions out there. There is the normal version, the album normally everyone will get, where you just listen to every song in the way it's meant, or it should be meant. Then there is the soundtrack version. The soundtrack of war version, if you want it that way. It's really just the music without vocals. I don't know if you're able to get that, to be honest. I haven't checked out. I think I thought I have only seen it in a special edition you were able to get, but it's already sold out. And the history edition. And the history edition makes this album so amazing. Now, if you're one who've never heard of Sabaton like I was, Sabaton you can call, or if you want to describe them, you can describe them as modern bards. They're singing about heroics of wars, or stories from wars, in so many different ways. I mean, there can be one song about Normandy, or like I said, the Bismarck, and as strange as it sounds, it works for different reasons, because they are able to get, they don't fall from this thin line. They are able to walk this thin line, not going into one or the other direction, to make it really just a song about war, just someone wanting to say how great war is, and they don't fall to make it too, how to put it, just to make it sound like we just make this to have a theme that's a little bit different than everyone else. If you catch my drift in so many ways. So yeah, the reason this it works for them in so many ways is they take so much. They take time to research their stories. They even have an own history channel on YouTube. I highly recommend checking that one out. So they know what they're doing, and they know about what they're singing. And the really interesting thing is, and I think everyone who has heard a Sabaton song at some point will tell you the same thing. If you have heard one of these songs, you want to know more about it. You will, not everyone will do it, but a lot of people will try to check out what's the story behind this song, what's the story about this specific person, the specific place they're singing about. And someone have read somewhere who said it, this is this band is really great for teaching history, because they don't make it sound boring. They make it sound interesting to research. Not, like I said, not the way to hold war high in a high way, but so people remember what happened at that time. And this brings us again back to the Great War. This album is completely about World War One, and there is so much stuff in there. I mean, there aren't that many songs on there, to be honest. There are 11 songs, if I count right. There are 11 songs on there, and this is the only thing. Personally, I think, if I have to say something negative about this album, I would say it's very short in some way. Even if the songs are really long in some cases. But on the other side, I think I think it has also the right amount of songs. I know how contradictory that is, but believe me, if you listen to it, you know you're on one hand you have the feeling it's too short, but on the other hand, you are so satisfied when it's when you reach the last song on this one, for many different reasons. And yeah, like I said, every song is about something different, and just to give you something a little bit more. We start the Future of Warfare song where we are introduced into the tanks that were introduced in World War One. Seven Pillars of Wisdom, something like from T. Lawrence. 82nd All the Way is about a Marine in the war who has a lot of high decorations. I forgot the name, sorry, now and then. We have The Red Baron, speaks for itself. Ghost in Trenches, about a very good marksman. Again, story about, I don't know the name. Again, I didn't want to go into deep about this one. The Fields of Verdun, again, also something if you haven't heard of that. So yeah, it's a really amazing concept. Now, why I wanted to talk about the History Edition specifically is this is a very, very great way to make an album, to keep people listening to and show how much you want to make them think about what you're singing, because while the normal version has the songs played the way they are intended to, in the history version we have small intros to every song. Like I said, in the first, if you look at the first song, The Future of Warfare, we have the small intro, how someone tells you how something small brings out this, or has just ignites this whole war, and how over the time the tanks were introduced. These are just very short bits. They are not long. They're just sometimes only a few seconds long, but they give you this atmosphere in there. This is what makes this even more fantastic. The songs themselves are great. Even again, the way they're designed, the way the lyrics go, the way the music, the instruments, everything sounds amazing in this way. But giving this small touch just from introducing the song in the way that someone tells something, or just brings out something a little bit more about this one. It's just listening to it makes this. It's like you're it's kind of like you're listening to an audiobook, but an audiobook where you add something a little bit more extra. This extra bit, to be honest. Or you're listening to stories, to a musical story in some way, but these small text passages, they make this everything more round, to be honest. And so yeah, this is just one fantastic way to not only tell about something, but make it also in a way that to create this atmosphere, to have this the people really coming into it, really not just listening to it, to be honest, but feeling it. Again, it's very hard to explain, especially if you have someone like me who's just casually listening to this, or just a casual listener to anything. But for me, music is a way to escape reality, or to put it that way. When I come home, I had a stressful day. I love listening to different kinds of songs. I love listening to songs that tell stories. Just I'm not someone who just likes to listen to an audiobook. I find it's kind of boring, but having something put with a score makes it so much more amazing. And this is just something where I say, if you're a fan of or if you're more a history geek, and someone who likes some more depth into his songs and something more, I really highly recommend checking this album out. Again, like I said, I know it sounds strange to recommend something and even not being able to talk that much about it, but this is why I said it's just, I wanted to just, this is more a recommendation, to be honest, this video. Again, highly recommend checking out the YouTube channels of Sabaton, and I will link down below one of the playlists of them where you can listen to some of the songs, and some of the songs that are on this album can be found in there. The Great War is in there, the Red Baron is in there, and also 82nd All the Way is in there. And again, I highly recommend checking them out. And if you're able to see this album, especially the History Edition, try to listen to it, because this is really something something very unique and something very special, especially to if you know what's all behind of this one, and it's really amazing. And the other thing, I think some people might be interested when I said at the beginning there's a normal and the history and the score version. This is not the normal version. This is the ebook version where both albums are in there. Just a little bit more. I can show you something a little bit more about this one, because I think the ebook version with all the artworks brings out the. This is just the last step to really show you how much they want you to bring you in this one. I don't show everything, but just all this artwork with everything. Small introductions. It's really amazing. So yeah, again, this one is just more for the fans, or if you're someone who wants to have a little more introduction to this one. This one is the one I would go for if you're more a fan of the stories behind it. If you want something not just to listen but to experience it, and if you just want to listen to it, get the normal version. Again, in every way, I would recommend checking it out beforehand, because, again, it's a very, very difficult topic in so many ways. And I know people who don't like it this way. They don't say the band is bad or the music is bad, but they don't want to be reminded of the war and everything in this way. So, yeah, again, I would recommend checking that out before. Again, sorry that I couldn't go into too much depth. It's just my 2 cents I wanted to get out of there. So yeah, check it out if you can, and next time I will have something more in depth in so many ways. I think the next videos, they will be more interesting in many ways. Next time we have another artist introduction, and again I have some stupid stuff coming up. So yeah, thanks for watching and see you soon. Bye.